Episode 7 of The Night Agent Season 2 starts with a flashback to 6 years ago when Solomon met Jacob. The two met when Jacob's car broke in the middle of nowhere. As they waited for a tow truck, Solomon opened up about his sister's hit and run. He expressed his disappointment with the police investigation. Once the tow truck arrived, Solomon left and refused to accept money from Jacob. Jacob memorized his plate number and left him intel on the driver who hit his sister. He also offered him a driver's position. The rest, as they say, is history. Currently, Peter brings Solomon to a safe house. Solomon tries to get into Peter's head by bringing up his dad and whether Night Action was involved in his investigation. Catherine asks Peter to ignore Solomon, and he informs her that Solomon was on their comms last night. They start looking into the possibility that Solomon and his boss have moles in different government offices. Peter apologizes to Catherine for thinking she was the mole. They finally figure out that Solomon and his boss are intel brokers. However, who did they sell the Foxglove intel to? Peter gets a message from Rose that something is up with Noor and leaves. Noor meets with Rose and confronts her for lying. Peter arrives, apologizes, and tries to explain what happened. Noor is heartbroken to realize that Sadie was the one who shot her brother. She starts to doubt if her mom is safe with Sadie and on their way to New York. She demands to speak to her mom, but Sadie's phone is unreachable. On her way out, Javed secretly takes pictures of her, Rose, and Peter leaving the secret basement. Meanwhile, Tomas lies to his wife, Sloane, that he has meetings and can't spend the day with her. She tries to dissuade him from working for his dad, but he refuses to listen or explain further. He leaves to meet with Marcus and his men, and they use fake papers to get access to cyanogen. Throughout the operation, Tomas tries to be calm and logical, but Marcus's impatience threatens to ruin the plan. Back to Solomon, Catherine tries to make a deal with him if he gives up his boss and the buyer for the Foxglove intel. Solomon refuses to cooperate and insists on only talking to Peter. However, he gives Catherine a lead by suggesting she look into cyanogen. Catherine calls back Peter and interrupts his conversation with Rose. Peter feels he had no choice, but Rose thinks they did to Rose what Barr did to them. She feels guilty and wants to go back to California. After getting Catherine's call, Peter and Rose head back to the safe house. She informs that someone stole cyanogen, a chemical compound mentioned in the Foxglove files. It is likely that the terrorists are already on the move to make the chemical poison. Peter is not sure they can trust Solomon, but they have no choice. Rose offers to look into the professors mentioned in the Foxglove papers, while Catherine follows up on the other materials mentioned in the Foxglove files. As for Peter, Catherine asks him to watch Solomon. On the way out, Rose asks Catherine if she can set up security for her in California. She then leaves to meet with one of the professors who worked in the Foxglove program. Peter takes a crack at Solomon, but the latter only brings up Sutherland Sr. Peter figures out that Solomon is loyal to his boss because of his sister. Solomon outsmarts him, and Peter pretty much confirms the existence of Night Action to him. Catherine quickly pulls Peter out and bans him from interrogating Solomon until Mosley arrives. Once Noor returns to the embassy, Javad summons her and interrogates her. He lies that they found her mom and threatens to send her back to Iran to bear the consequences of her betrayal. In the end, Noor tells him everything, and to save herself, she makes a deal to bring Javad to Peter. On the other side of town, Rose meets with Dr. Cole and asks him about Foxglove. He is initially hesitant, but once she tells him what is at stake, he comes around. He takes her to his home and shows her his notes on Foxglove. Dr. Cole has always been suspicious that the CIA didn't shut down the program, but secretly manufactured chemical poisons and sold them to Victor Bala. He starts explaining to Rose how the chemical works. Elsewhere, the police get a lead to Marcus and his team, but the crew shoots their way out of the second chemical plant they attacked. After learning which second chemical compound the terrorists targeted, Dr. Cole is able to narrow down which poison they want to make. Catherine asks Peter to stay and watch Solomon while she leaves to visit the scene. Solomon tries to use this opportunity to talk Peter into meeting Jacob to find out who the terrorists are. Back at Dr. Cole's house, Rose meets his family on her way out. Unfortunately, before she can leave, Marcus and his men arrive to kidnap the professor. At the same time, Solomon reveals to Peter that the terrorist will go after one of the professors to make the poison. The closest professor is Cole, who is currently with Rose. Peter calls Rose to warn her, but it is too late. He overhears the attack over the phone and realizes Rose is in grave danger. Simultaneously, Noor fails to meet Sadie and her mom at the meetup location. Sadie calls Catherine, and the scene cuts to her finding Peter and Solomon gone. On the other hand, Noor and Javad are waiting for Peter to show up at the meeting point. Did Peter agree to meet with Jacob to save Rose? He is jeopardizing his career, and as much as it might be worth it, he should have told Catherine his plan. What is he thinking? Jacob wants something, and whatever it is, it will compromise Peter. Everyone knows making a deal with the devil comes at a high price. For all we know, Jacob might be planning to mess with the election. He seemed to be invested in the news about the presidential elections in the previous episode. Sadly, our girl Noor is in trouble. Javad made his choice, and it was not her. Thanks to Noor's quick thinking, she is still alive, but who knows when Javad's patience will run dry. I find this episode a bit annoying. The night action knew something was going down regarding Foxglove, but didn't think to put some stringent measures in place. The Foxglove file was thin, and they waited until the last minute to talk to the professor, who could have given them more information. They should have at least looked into the chemical compounds and heightened security at the nearest chemical plants. How are they behind at every step of the way?